People are afraid of Ocasio-Cortez. And when I say people, I don't mean just Republicans, conservatives. I mean corporatists of all stripes. Democrats fear her more than Republicans, maybe. In fact, this was an article from Politico that's from the 11th of January. It says, exasperated Democrats try to rein in Ocasio-Cortez. The effort is part carrot and part stick, but it's far from clear the anti-establishment political novice can be made to play ball. It's far from clear if she can be made. Incumbent Democrats so they're mostly annoyed with Ocasio-Cortez's threat to back primary opponents against members of their ranks she deems too moderate. So that's the thing that really rankles them. And that's the thing that the Justice Democrats are committed to. And that's what they don't want. So, in fact, I'm sure Ms. Cortez means well, but there's almost an outstanding rule. Don't attack your own people, said Representative Emanuel Cleaver, a Democrat from Missouri. We just don't need sniping in our Democratic caucus. Do you know how she got elected? She primaried the number 3 guy in power to get rid of him, that she's a revolutionary. She's an upstart in the party. She's trying to change the party. And you don't do that by keeping the same MFers around who are working against the people. She's a revolutionary. And now you're going to find out how hard it is to be a revolutionary inside a counter-revolutionary party like the Democratic Party. They're all against her. They're all against her. They're all against her, except maybe 2 people. I'm telling you. It's yellow vest time here in America, ladies and gentlemen.
When I read something about don't attack, seriously,
Oh.
I'm not able to run against a corporate tool.
No kidding.
I'm not allowed to do that. That's ridiculous. And, that's also such the patriarch. Stay in line. Don't question authority.
Yeah, that is, I know. This effort to rein her in, that's what that means. This effort to rein in Ocasio, described by nearly 20 lawmakers and aides, is part carrot and part stick. Some lawmakers with ties to Ocasio-Cortez are hoping to coax her into using her star power to unite Democrats and turn her fire on Republicans. Yeah, but the people standing in the way of her agenda are Democrats. Nancy Pelosi is the pay-go. The Democrats did that to themselves. So you try to change the thing you try to fix your own house first. So she's trying to fix her own house. Others simultaneously warn Ocasio-Cortez is destined for a lonely, ineffectual career in Congress if she continues to treat her own party as the enemy. So they're trying to scare her. They're trying to say, cut it out. You're not going to get anything. We're not going to help you pass legislation. It's going to be pretty lonely. Representative Nydia Velázquez, a Democrat from New York, is playing a key role in this effort to rein her in. She's playing a key role, according to this Politico article. It says, like Ocasio-Cortez, Velázquez knocked off a longtime Democratic incumbent to win her seat. And they share Puerto Rican roots. In private conversations with Ocasio-Cortez over the past few months, Velázquez counseled Ocasio-Cortez against targeting her Democratic colleagues in future elections. And if you remember, I just read this to you. This woman who just counseled Ocasio-Cortez not to go against her Democrat incumbents, how did she get elected? She primaried a Democrat incumbent to win her seat. And I don't know, according to this article, she's counseling her to stop doing that. So both Cortez and Velázquez both primaried corporate Democrats, and that's how they got in power, because people are sick of it and they want people to represent them. And now that they're there, according to this article, Velázquez is telling Ocasio, cut it out. That thing that got us elected, let's pull the ladder up. So no other progressives get to do this. That's what that sounds like to me. The two had a long conversation about the dynamics of Congress in Washington and how there should be how there should not be a litmus test for every district, Velasquez said in a recent interview. She's meaning there shouldn't be one test that you apply to every district, and if they don't check every box, then you don't. So she's saying you shouldn't do that every district is different. She says Velasquez told Ocasio she should think twice in the future before backing primaries against her colleagues. That's the whole thing with Ocasio. That's the Justice Democrats' whole thing, is primary and corporate Democrats. That's why Ocasio-Cortez is in Congress. And I don't know if you notice, Representative Velasquez, I don't know if you notice, but Ocasio-Cortez is the most famous person in Congress. And she's only been there for about a week or two. She's got 2 million followers on Twitter. People are hungry for what Ocasio-Cortez is doing. People want what she's doing. And now here she is inside the counter-revolutionary party, and they're all trying to squash her. Even somebody who just did exactly what she did. Isn't that, I think that's interesting. Murphy, the first Vietnamese woman elected to Congress, represents a swing district and could lose her seat if she's forced to move left in a primary, Velasquez said during the talk with Ocasio. So she's going, look, this woman here, she's in, this district is purple, so she can't go. I reject all that. Here's my litmus test. I do have a litmus test. You don't take corporate money. That's the Justice Democrats. I'm pretty sure that's their only litmus test, is that you don't take corporate money. I'm pretty sure that's it. So if you don't take corporate money, that's their one demand. And everything else will go by your district. Washington is a political animal where a lot of the work that you want to accomplish depends on relationships with the Democratic caucus, said Velasquez, who described herself as a bridge between Ocasio-Cortez and the Democratic caucus. So she's like, hey, you better stop it. You better play nicer if you want. Things are going to be tough for you. You want to stay being a revolutionary. That's your funeral. This is from someone who herself primaried a corporate Democrat. The honeymoon between the voters that you represent and yourself could be a short one. People want to see results. That's what they said to Ocasio. And now in this article, they say this. They say, in a brief exchange off the House floor recently, Ocasio-Cortez said she wasn't interested in backing progressive candidates against incumbent Democrats, contradicting her own words after the midterms. Then her spokespeople, she also criticized Politico for publishing a story suggesting she considered backing a primary opponent against rising star Representative Hakeem Jeffries, who many believe could become the first black speaker. Now, Hakeem Jeffries is a corporatist. He's in that pro Wall Street PAC group or whatever, caucus. He is now the head of the Democratic caucus, and that's what everybody was going like, really? So this is what? That guy? We have Nancy Pelosi, and so we have two corporate. We can't even get a progressive as the head of the caucus. Remember that? So this guy, 97% of all his money comes from big donors. That guy. And she now criticized Politico for publishing a story suggesting that she considered backing a primary opponent to that guy. So Ocasio's whole thing and the Justice Democrats' whole thing is we are primary and corporate Democrats, and they put this in this article to say it looks like she's backing off it. I don't know if she's backing off it because there isn't an election right now, and what is in it for her to go start, saying I'm going to primary you, you know what I mean? Well, let's wait for the election and see if... Anyway... I'm focused on my job, Ocasio-Cortez said. Her spokesman, Corbin Trent, added, there has been a change in focus, though not a change in ideology. So I just think it's just the wrong time of year. She's focused on legislating right now. She's not focused on elections. That's what I think. I really do. I mean, Ocasio-Cortez she's bucking the establishment, and it doesn't appear that she's afraid to do that. It doesn't appear so. Although, again, it did bother me when all the progressives voted for Nancy Pelosi to become speaker, but they said it. We couldn't. Our hands are tied and all that stuff. But you know how I felt about that. Representative Raul Gravaglia, he used to be the Progressive Caucus chair. He says the former head of the Democrats should probably get used to Ocasio-Cortez. That's what he says. She's going to force some of the members to have to align with or against her, he said. In that sense, I would assume that can be irritating to some.
You mean they'll actually have to go on record for what they stand for and what they're going to actually support?
Yes. Isn't that?
And she may be pushing people more to the left.
Isn't that nice that it's nice that she's doing this. It's great. Maybe it's the aunt or uncle you didn't want to invite to the wedding, Gravaglia added, but Ocasio-Cortez is, quote, part of the family. So that's how they treat her, and that's how the Democrats treat Ocasio, the most popular Democrat in Congress. The rest of the party treats her like she's the crazy uncle. Isn't that something? It's worse than you thought, folks. That's the problem. The Democratic Party is way worse than you thought.
Well, when you have millionaire after millionaire saying, hey, sit back, shut up, and watch how things are done, like people like, oh, yeah, maybe I should sit down. No, you shouldn't. And that's why we're here right now.
That's what scares them, is that it's not that she has crazy ideas. To them, that's crazy. A living wage, free college, get corporate money out of politics. Stuff like that. To them, it's crazy. But to the American people, they're all for it, and that's what scares them. She has 2.5 million followers on Twitter. And they're engaged. Two House Democratic sources compared her use of Twitter to Donald Trump's. Just as congressional Republicans constantly withhold criticism of the president out of fear he'll unleash a tweet at them, some Democrats have done the same with Ocasio-Cortez. People are afraid of her, said one senior Democratic aide, and that's exactly where we want them. That's great. That's great that they're afraid of her. That's exactly where we want them.
Well, Chuck Schumer has about 1.6 million Twitter followers, and Nancy Pelosi has about 1.9.
And they've been only in Congress for about 1 million years.
Well, since the beginning of Twitter, certainly.
Since the beginning of Twitter time, Nancy and Ocasio-Cortez, she's been in Congress about a week or two now. She blew right past them, Steph. And by the way, this whole thing about them not liking her, the Freedom Caucus didn't win many popularity contests in Congress this past 4 years, but it's hard to dispute that the hardliner success dragging it's hard to dispute the hardliner success dragging the GOP to the right. Hard to dispute that they've been successful. And hopefully we'll be able in 4 years say it's hard to dispute that Ocasio and the Justice Democrats have been successful in dragging the party to the left. Hopefully we'll say that. Right now, they're not. They're kicking and screaming and dragging their feet, and they're trying to squash the revolutionaries inside the Democratic Party. So we'll see how this plays out. The great thing about Ocasio is she, has access. When she speaks, the whole nation will listen, as we're going to show in our next video. We're announcing our live dates for 2019. We're going to Chicago and Portland, Seattle, New York, all over the country. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for all our tickets to all our shows. It'll be right underneath there, too. Please become a patron if you like our content and help support the show. You can become a patron for $5 a month, and we give you hours of bonus material. And make sure you're subscribed. They unsubscribe people every day. I'm not kidding. Make sure you're subscribed and click that bell so they give you a notice when we drop a video. It's the only thing we can do to fight back against the bastards. Thanks for your support.